El Zorro Plateador presents Myths for Today's Man. Stories, fables, and tales for a world in chaos. The Tale of Hypergametes and Redipalesius, a myth about hypergamy and masculine frame. Let me tell you the tale of Hypergametes and Redipalesius, the tale of two youths stuck in the battle of their lives. Part 1. The Island of Struggle. Early in the life of the world, rosy-fingered Dawn touched down upon a tiny island called Anaparago. The Mother Earth said,
"Ah, here is a nice island, perfect for what I need. The sun always shines."
There upon the beaches she placed a man and a woman. They were beautiful, perfect, and strong.
"You I will call Hypergametes, the one who always strives for better."
The woman was like a goddess in her beauty. Her body had the gentle curves of the beach line and the pleasant rise and falls of the dunes. She was intelligent, but tricky, and loved to get her way. She pointed to the man.
"And you I will name Redipalesius, he who is able to see through things."
He was dashing and strong, with muscles chiseled as if carved from rocky cliffs. He was wise and powerful. She sought for them to live together here. Above them, within the blue of the sky, watched Father Time. "I see what you are doing here, Mother Earth, making life again." He saw these humans were too perfect and pure, and so incomplete. "Let me add a touch of trouble to these lovers, something to fight. For when you make life for your children too easy, how can they make you proud? I will give each one an onus."
"Again? Oh, an onus is an awful thing. Why defile my beautiful babies with a silly curse?"
"The great onus is no curse, Earth Mother. It is my divine blessing. I give them the power to interpret it as they wish." Now, an onus is your duty, your responsibility. It can become heavy and burdensome, almost a curse. An onus is hard to understand because it can fuel you to achieve great things or cause your complete destruction. Since the onus lies always within, you may fail to see its impact. My goodness, how Father Time was both wise and tricky. "Upon you, Hypergametes, I place the onus where each day you will age the lifespan of a woman and be reborn each morning." And a blaze of golden light fell upon Hypergametes.
"Really? That's what you are going to do?"
"Oh, yes, and that's a good one, too."
"Fine. Then upon her I place an inventive and artistic spirit, a will to create and build, a will to make."
And a flume of sparks flew from Hypergametes, anointing her with this gift. "Upon you, Redipalesius, I place the onus where you will feel a lapse in your confidence, in a rhythm repeating with the moon. With the disappearance of its light, you will feel your confidence fade as the moon thins, but when it fattens, your lordly countenance will return." And a blaze of light fell upon Redipalesius.
"Can't you think of something else, Father Time?"
"What? No way! These are great! All your projects are too boring."
"Fine. Then upon you, Redipalesius, I place a deep need to perform tasks, to do great deeds, and through a strong will to work toward great projects."
And a plume of sparks flew from Redipalesius, anointing him. And so Hypergametes started in the morning as a child, But as the morning passed, she grew into a beautiful young girl, and then, throughout the day, grew older, becoming an adult woman nearing lunchtime, and then an old woman in the evening. After each night of sleep, she again woke up as a little girl. As you might imagine, Hypergamedes was acutely aware of how her body would change throughout the day. But she accepted all this because it was the only life she knew. During his 4-week cycle, Ready Policius felt changes in his confidence. For the first 3 weeks, when the moon was bright and large, he felt power and mastery, for this was Father Time shining down upon him. But every 3 weeks, when the moon waned into a narrow silver crescent, he would feel like a beginner and become frustrated and embarrassed and boyish, and his cool thinking would disappear. During these times, he felt discouraged and lazy. He would become useless, and Hypergamedes could not quite decide whether or not to look at him in disgust and disappointment from a distance or come closer to laugh at his antics and entertaining stories. But Ready Policius knew, once the cycle completed, that he would snap back into his confident self and the two would join together. So he never allowed this phase to bother him too much. Unlike Hypergamedes, he stayed all this time the same age and never changed. You can see how Father Time made life rather complicated on the tiny island of Anaparigo. You could never quite figure out what was going on or who was in which phase of their onus, unless you had a clock and a calendar and were keeping careful track of time. But the two did keep track of time. They measured the passing of days and nights on carved pieces of wood, and the two lovers grew to expect all the troubles caused by their onus, and so became acclimated to these hardships, inured to them. They always knew what time of day it was, because the sun was always shining, and the moon and stars were visible, and they always knew when Ready Policius was about to feel lazy or hopeless. This man and woman enjoyed each other throughout the day, but the rapid changes in Hypergamedes presented challenges to Ready Policius. In the early morning when she was a child, he acted like a father, watching her and caring for her. He fed her breakfast and then left to do chores and work the fields. "Did you eat your breakfast, little flower?" he asked. "I did." "Will you be okay here while I'm in the fields?" "Yes, have a good day." During the mid-morning, he returned to find Hypergamedes had sprouted into an astonishing beauty. This was quite a switch for Ready Policius, to see his love change from a young girl into a full-blooded woman. But he got used to that, too. "Hello. Welcome home, my love." "I caught more fish. Shall we have it for lunch today, my sweet?" "Yes, set it there. I made soup and some honey bread." "These pillows you made are so comfortable. Let's try them out." "Thank you. Now aren't you hungry?" Together in the shade of their veranda upon these soft pillows, they ate delicious lunches together. Hypergamedes watched how her body changed throughout the day. After they were satisfied, while Ready Policius fished and built things around their homestead, Hypergamedes would go on her daily walks throughout the rocky hillsides of the island, gathering berries, herbs, and the most beautiful bouquets of mountain blossoms. She often stopped to gaze off a steep cliff and smell the ocean air traveling over the island. "Will you be going to the hills this afternoon for more flowers?" "Yes, love. Anything special you want?" "Another wreath for my fishing raft, please. The last one blew away." "Yes, love. A wreath for the bow." As the evening approached, Ready Policius returned to find Hypergamedes crumpled over into an old woman. Again he had to change how he behaved with her. "Hypergamedes, how are your hands this evening?" "Oh, they hurt me so." "Let me work on them for you." He gave her arthritic hands a gentle massage. "Oh, that's nice." "Only an hour left to go, darling. Let's get you to bed early tonight. Come for your bath."
All right, my handsome prince.
Then he would put her gently to bed. The next morning she would again be a tiny girl, waking up in the baggy nightgown she had worn to bed. My goodness, what mischief did Father Time do to these people? But these youngsters were fine and were living their lives. The Earth Mother's gifts of ingenuity and will became important. To Hypergametes she gave the power to create. Ready Policius would carry baskets of clay to her, and she would make all manner of objects with it. Spoons, pots, cups, and tools. She would make him spearheads for fishing, but her favorite thing was to make clay figures. She would make little sculptures and medium ones, and she made several life-sized sculptures of men who looked similar to her love. These clay figures would come to life for a few days. Until they dried out and froze in the sun, some of the sculptures were quite disgusting. These little trolls, they would sing out to her, lovingly, sometimes with gibberish, and sometimes with words.
Bye-bye, time for sleep.
Over time, there were so many of these clay sculptures that they lay scattered about the island, eroding and falling apart. To Ready Policius, Mother Earth gave him a mighty intellect. He would dream of complex systems and ideas. Hypergametes cared little for these ideas themselves, but loved how passionate he was about them. She admired how his mind worked, but usually never bothered with what his mind actually made. One exception to this was his idea for a sun clock. He got this idea after he pierced a shallow piece of coral, but could not pull out the spear. He then later noticed its shadow marked different pieces of coral as the day progressed. Later that day, excited about this pattern, he told Hypergametes about it, and together they made a small sundial by placing a spike of clay within a circle and watching its shadow move as the day passed. She loved this sun clock so much she made a much bigger one. This one she made was enormous. She built a spectacular arrangement of potted plants and flowers at intervals along the sun's shadow, with different flowers marking different times of the day, and it became the centerpiece of their veranda. So long as they, with care and intelligence, tracked the sunny days and pleasant times going by, the two beauties fell into a long routine of their lives, living with their onus and accommodating each other in a harmonious way. But not all in this world was at peace. Something sinister rose out of the sea beyond the beaches from the kelp bed. From below the surface of the water, in the coral reefs near this island, a creature was watching Ready Policius as he fished and hunted, and it watched Hypergametes as she tolerated the busy changes in her life. It was a sea witch named Vanaceteria. Her name means torturess. She had skin coated in algae and wore rags of kelp. She studied the two beauties from a distance, watching and listening to them.
Just look at that. Disgusting, the curse Father Time placed upon the sad girl. Shackled her within her body like that. Turned her into a fool, he did.
She shook her head.
That boy there, he makes me sick. Why does he not cook and collect flowers as she does? She can pick up clay just as well as he. How they live, it's not right.
She scooped up a handful of foam from a passing wave.
It is an outrage, an injustice, a crime no woman should bear. I must do something about this.
She wondered, massaging the suds into her green hair.
I must hurt these innocents. No, I must destroy them. But how?
She looked up at the mountains of the island and held her green arm into the wind to feel the breeze.
Oh, yes. I know exactly how to do it. I must make my magic ready.
And she slinked back into the water. A few days later, she slithered back out to let loose her plan. To be continued. Who is this witch, and will she destroy the heroes of the story? Find out what happens to Hypergametes and Ready Policius. Stay tuned for the next episode of Myths for Today's Man. Remember, your likes and subscriptions matter, and so does your voice. So please, share your comments below or engage with me on Twitter. Signing off for now. Until next time, this is El Zorro Plateador.